Anybody here yet?
Okay, I'm gonna put you guys all on mute. Okay, good morning, everyone. I'm Chelsea Perkins. I'm Teresa and Dr. Roger Harding's Executive Business Manager. So basically, I have the best job in the world. I'm excited to introduce Teresa to you. She and Roger have over 70% of all wellness advocates on their team, and that is they are massive, massive leaders, and that doesn't just happen by chance. So anytime that you can hear from them, definitely take advantage of it. Teresa travels all around the world, and her trainings are renowned in doTERRA. So this is exciting. Today we're starting our 8 leadership training series, and today's topic is creating relationships of trust. So I'm excited to introduce Teresa to you. I hope you guys enjoy and follow us for the next 8 weeks. And here she is.
Good morning, you guys. How are you? So excited to see you. I want to show you something that we've been working on. You guys, this next 8-week course is going to be phenomenal. It is going to change your business, and I am not kidding. I am really excited about this. Dr. Harding, my husband, Roger, we have been working on this for well over a year, trying to perfect this process because we have a lot of trainings that help new people. And even though this isn't necessarily not for new people, because it will work for someone who's brand new and someone who's advanced. But a lot of times what happens is we're training on what do we do with doTERRA. And that's important. We need to know how to build the business, right? We've got a lot of great trainings about that. But these are specific leadership skills that are going to help you change the way you do things with your leaders. So you can imagine if these are things that really will make a difference, if you start with them at the very beginning. So if you're new, this is the kind of thing you can incorporate right from the beginning. And if you've been in the business for a little while, these are the things that we teach at our advanced retreats. And we have gotten a phenomenal response. When we had our retreat where we introduced this, people said, wow, this has changed my business. I think it's changing my life. And so we're very serious about this because my goal is, I've seen success. I've gone through all the dumb mistakes. I know how to do doTERRA. I can teach you how to build. You give me anyone and I will help them be successful. But will they do it in the right way? Will they be happy? Because you can have a lot of money and not be happy, and you can have a lot of money and be so satisfied and peaceful and pursuing dreams and helping people and doing a lot of good, right? So these are the things that help us do it in the right way. And today we're going to talk about the first one. There are 8. There are 8 leadership skills. And so we call it Create Success. I'd like to show you what that looks like because I'm really proud of our little icon that we've created. Isn't that awesome? Create success. And the first one, number 1, you have to start with creating relationships of trust. Because if you don't, you will not have people who want to follow you. So what I want you to do is I want you to think, before we get started, I want you to be thinking about some of the problems that you have on your team. Or for you, it might be focusing on some things that are going on in your family or with relationships that you care about. Okay, I want you to start thinking of concerns that you have or issues that you've been dealing with. And I want you to be writing them down as I'm talking. I'm really going to work on getting these to where I talk for about 15 minutes, and then you guys have about 5+ minutes of questions that you can ask me. You can ask real life, about real life issues or things that are going on with your team or relationship stuff. I'm serious. I want to make sure that you leave here going, okay, now I know what to do. I have some action items I can take. Okay. So first of all, what I want to do is talk about why trust is so important. Because people think in the world today, if you're honest about these kinds of things, then you're an honest person. You might be dishonest in your relationship with your spouse or dishonest in your relationship with your friends, or you can tell little lies. But in your business, you're honest. No, if you are dishonest, you are dishonest. And you need to be honest with yourself. Because if you aren't willing to look at that and go, okay, let me be humble and say, okay, if I do things that are not honest, I do have issues with trust. I need to change. I need to be a better leader. Because I want you to think of people that you admire. The people you admire Are they people who you don't trust? Any of the people that popped into your mind when I just said that, are any one of those people who are dishonest that you cannot trust? No. And I want you to think about leaders. Think of your upline leaders. Think of people in your church maybe, or people at work. The people who you are willing to listen to and follow are the ones that you totally trust, that you know they've got your back. They're not going to talk about you behind your back. They're not going to say things about you that aren't true. They're not going to take credit for things that you did, right? It's a big, big deal. So I want to give you a couple of examples. One where I did awesome, where I was sweet. And then another one where I wasn't so great. Okay. So what I'm going to tell you first is the story where I did things right. And at the beginning of doTERRA, as we started, I did not, some of you know, I hated network marketing and I did not want to get involved. And when I decided to get involved, I decided I am not going to be part of something that feels like the way I've felt dealing with people in other network marketing companies. I'd never done network marketing before, but I did not want it to feel like that, where people are, oh, come be on my team. You know, it doesn't matter who talked to you, that kind of thing. So when I started doTERRA, I was absolute. It is black and white, and I don't care what you say. And you'll hear different people sometimes talk about, well, for the most part, you do it that way, but in this circumstance, it's actually okay. No, I disagree. And I will tell you what, your reputation will precede you, and it will also follow you. It's important. And I lived my business that way. I would not tolerate people moving to other teams if someone had talked to them. And of course I did it with love and kindness, or at least I tried to. Somebody would say, you know what, my team isn't helping me, so I want to move. I want to go somewhere else. My job is to be excited and help them feel excited to stay where they are and realize that they're going to get help no matter what, that they can be part of our team. They can come to our meetings and we'll help them. They can do trainings with us, but we don't do that in doTERRA. And I became known for that. I had a reputation for that. And then we brought on a leader that was growing really fast. And they were doing some amazing things, but they didn't know the doTERRA culture. And so some of the people on their team were telling everyone, oh, we have the biggest team. Because hello, do you think I could say that? Oh yeah, my team is the biggest. I've got over 70% of the team. So you know you want to be on my team because we have the best one. Well, I could totally do that. But I think one of the reasons our team is the biggest is because I never, ever did. And as we talked to this team and we were training them, some of the leaders on the team, we started finding out that, well, unbeknownst to me, they were telling people that, oh yeah, you can move over to our team. Or it doesn't matter that so-and-so has already talked to you. You can come be with us. And this is the way it works because we're doing this big, huge program that's going to get us enrollments and it's going to work better. So you're going to want to be on our team. And people would say, that doesn't seem right. That doesn't sound like doTERRA. And they would say, oh yeah, this is what Teresa Harding is teaching. This is how we're training in our sessions that we, the trainings that we do. And of course I had no idea. I'm la-di-da, just going along. And then I got some calls from a couple of the biggest leaders in doTERRA. Justin Harrison is master distributor with Eric Larson. At that time, it was only Justin Harrison. They did not share the spot. So two of his frontline leaders who were good friends of mine.
Hello.
One was Lindy James and one was Lil Shepherd.
Yeah.
I will never forget that they called.
I'm sorry, what?
Separately, not unbeknownst to the other. They called me and they said,
you want to be on Zoom's app. You don't want to be on Teresa Harding's
people on our downline are telling us that other people from your team are saying that you taught them that it's okay for them to move over to her team. And they said, I'll never forget, Wendy said to me, oh, I told them that is absolutely not true. Teresa would never say that. She teaches the opposite. Let me call her because that is not what's happening. And I'll tell you right now, it made me want to weep because I didn't even have to be there and they stuck up for me. They didn't even have to go, wait a minute, let me go find out what's going on. They didn't even say that. They said, oh my goodness, that would never happen. I know that's not true. And Lil said the same thing to her people. They called me. We got to the bottom of it. We ended up being able to work with the people on my team and teaching them that is not what we do. So do you see what happened? Because I had been honest about those things. Okay. Now let me tell you a situation where I didn't handle it properly. I thought I was being honest, but honestly, I wasn't having integrity with my leaders. I started working with a couple who they had been in doTERRA. And so, of course, I told them we weren't going to work together. But then I found out they had been out for well over a year. I think even over 2 years, they'd been out of doTERRA. So that's fine. Of course, that's okay to work with them and enroll them with you. They can enroll with you. So I was working with them and we enrolled them. And I actually wanted to find out, tell me about the team you were working with before, because I want to make sure that we're doing this the right way. And they shared with me some things that their upline had told them that I felt like were manipulative. Their upline was telling them things that I felt like were manipulating them to try to make them feel guilty and do what they wanted them to do. And don't mess with me with my team. If people are messing with you, I do not like it. I don't want anyone feeling manipulated. I want people to know that they can make whatever decision they want. And so, they were actually feeling threatened by a lawsuit if they didn't come back to this other team. And this was 2 years after they had been dropped out of doTERRA. And I did not like that. So instead, but what I should have done was I should have called that other leader and said, hey, and it's a friend of mine. I should have said, hey, this is what they're saying that you said, and they're feeling really threatened. They're feeling manipulated, and this, I want to get to the bottom of this because this doesn't seem right. But what I did, because I was so frustrated about what was happening, is as the leaders I was working with, as they were telling me about the manipulation, I was so mad, and I let that come out a little bit. I said, okay, that is not okay. I said, I'm going to talk to them. And no, that is not true. You can choose to go where you want to go. So do you see how what I didn't have the back of my leader? I didn't take care of them. And if I had done it right, and we ended up talking about it later, and the other leader who these people felt was manipulating them ended up saying, Teresa, I want to be able to trust you, but I felt bad that you talked with them about this. And what I should have done is the minute this couple had talked to me about it, I should have said, you know what, let's get them on the phone right now. We're going to talk about this. We're going to have a 3-way call. And I've had leaders who do that to me. They'll get me on the phone with someone in the downline because they're having trouble and they want a third opinion, or they want to, have some help for that person. And I thought I learned a powerful lesson because I really hurt my leader and I didn't handle it right. And it made it look like I was talking about them behind their back. And in reality, guess what? I was. And it wasn't okay. And so if you really want your leaders to trust you and to listen to what you have to say, then you need to be honest. And that means you've got to be honest in everything. So how do you be honest? You've got to be honest in every single thing you do. And when you mess up, it's okay. Don't beat yourself up, but then do something about it. So, for example, you're honest in everything. That means if someone says, how are you today? How many times do you lie about that? Oh, I'm fine. No, maybe you're not fine that day. Well, then don't say I'm fine. Be so honest. But now, what if it's somebody you don't want to tell your troubles to? You want to know what I say now? Because this has become such a big deal for me. It has been my whole life, but I'm constantly working on being better at being honest. And so when people say, hey, how are you today? Well, if I'm doing rotten, if it's a friend that I want to talk to about it, I'll say, I totally need to talk to you. I'm not having a very good day. But if it's somebody I don't want to talk to, what if I'm at convention and I see people I don't even know? You want to know what I do? They say, how are you? And what if I'm having a horrible time? In fact, that's happened before. I'll look at them and I'll smile because, hello, I'm not going to be the Debbie Downer. I'm not going to go, I'm really depressed today. I'm going to say, I'll say, you know what? We'll say, hello, we'll hug. I'll say, you know what? It's actually a really tough day today, but I'm doing great. And thanks for the hug. That was nice. And you want to know what it does? I'm not doing it because I'm trying to get my needs met. I'm doing it because I'm trying to be honest. But what ends up happening is they end up giving me a sweeter hug. They'll look at me and they'll say, hey, well, we're rooting for you. Well, we appreciate all you do. Well, whatever. What a difference. What a difference because I'm honest. Okay. Another thing is you need to be an example. You've got to be an example to your team. If they see you talking about other leaders to them, or they hear you talking about other leaders to other leaders, guess what's going to happen? People aren't dumb. They're going to know that you do that about them. Don't be that kind of leader. Be the kind of leader they can look up to, that they want to follow because they trust you. We had a retreat, and we had a girl come to the retreat who was a little standoffish. She and her husband came, and they stayed back at the back all the time. I noticed that they didn't seem overly, active in conversations, but about halfway through the retreat, they're several days long, she came up to us, and she and her husband started talking to us, and they started getting emotional. They were crying, and they said, our upline has, and this was someone on my team that we had worked with who had real dishonesty issues, and I wouldn't tolerate it. I wouldn't let her get away with it. And so whenever she would try to do the dishonest things, take enrollerships or do things like that, she was teaching her team that when they signed someone up, she should get the enrollership and things like that, and I wouldn't allow it. So she was starting to tell her team that I was totally dishonest and that they couldn't trust me. And so do you think this is hurtful, especially when I try so hard to be honest? So you deal with hard things. And most of the time you don't. Most of the time it's fun and exciting, but you deal with hard things. And if you don't have this leadership skill, you will get crushed by it. Because do you think it felt hard for me. I wanted to go reach out to the team and say, you guys, I am honest, I promise. Well, guess what? This woman who had come to the retreat was from this team. She was one of the top leaders of that team, and she had come to the retreat because she saw me at an event, and she saw what I taught, and she thought I was lying. She thought I was making it up and putting on a show and acting like I'm so great. And then afterwards, she heard me talking to people, and she heard people talking back about some things that we had done together or whatever. And she started thinking, this doesn't make sense. This does not fit what I've been told about her. So she decided to come to the retreat to check it out. And she was seriously very emotional. And she said, I want to apologize for judging you before I knew. And I want you to know that, like I said, your reputation will follow you. So even if things happen that are not fair, it will turn out that people will find out. By their fruits ye shall know them. And it's true. And I want you to know that I have created some of the neatest relationships in doTERRA. Some of my best friends are in doTERRA because we were able to trust each other and we were able to work together that way. Okay. I want to talk about knowledge. If you want your team to trust you, you've got to have some knowledge. You've got to know stuff. If you know nothing about the business, if you know nothing about the oils, they're not going to trust you. That you're not the one they're going to come to. Now, you don't have to know everything. It's easy to look at someone teach. It's easy to go look at Dr. Hill and go, oh my goodness, I know nothing. I know nothing about the oils. But the reality is you know something. You've used an oil and it helped you. And now you know how to help other people with that oil. And little by little, those of you who've been in a while, you know, it grows and grows and grows until pretty soon people are acting like you're the expert. They act like, oh my goodness, help me know what to do. My friend has this, my friend has this. You're kind of the go-to person because you learn and you learn. And the same is true with the business. You might love helping people in the business and you teach people how to help people and that's how they grow their business. That's great. And that was me. That's what I cared about. But I'll tell you what, you better know how to set up an LRP. You better know how to take advantage of getting as many points as you can on LRP. Because if you've got leaders who can't trust you to give them answers, they're going to start going somewhere else. And it doesn't mean you have to have all the answers. We know that. You just learn as you go, a little at a time. Okay. Another thing is you have to remember that sometimes we're all in this doing the business. And yes, it's about helping people, and that's the most important thing. But sometimes we're so focused on trainings and doing the business with people. And okay, did you do your contacts? Did you do your follow-ups? Did you do your personal development? And we're talking like this. And actually at our advanced retreat that we had people get off into groups. After we taught them how to do this, they got into groups and they had to practice it with someone. And they'd come up with a plan of some things they would do. And what they did is they started talking. Well, what they were supposed to do is go over the plan and say, okay, so how did this go when you called these people? What are you going to do about this? What's your goal for the next 90 days? Well, guess what? One of the attendees, as they were talking, I came over to sit with them and help. And I said, so how are you doing? And she was having a hard time keeping it together. She was being very good about it, but I could tell something was wrong. Do you think at that moment that figuring out your 90-day goal is the most important thing right now? No, because someone with integrity cares about other people. And so when I could tell she was emotional, I said, what's going on? Are you okay? And she said, I probably better not talk about it because I won't be able to contain myself. And I said, we can leave it alone if that's what you want. But I said, but I'd love to hear what's going on if you're okay with it. She ended up sharing some very, very horrific things that she was going through, and she was having to deal with it right at that time. And she had snuck away for a few days to come to the retreat. And I'll tell you what, we had a more powerful meeting with her in that little training session because we talked about what mattered to her than we would have if we just cared about the goal. So remember that. So what I want you to do is I want you to create sessions with your leaders. I want you to make a plan. As we go to questions right now, I want you to make a plan and start writing down, because you've written down some of the problems you have. And I don't care if it's a relationship with your spouse. I don't care what it is. But you've written down some problems. Now I want you to start writing down a couple of things that you need to work on. And I'll tell you right now, if you are thinking, well, so-and-so does this, if you're looking at them and what they need to change, you are not going to be able to be the kind of leader that can fix it. It might not be fair, but too bad. You're the leader. And a leader has to lead. And that means it doesn't matter what anyone else is doing. You choose what you need to do and what your behavior needs to be, no matter what they're doing. I can promise you that I'm sure every single one of you is dealing with someone or a situation where someone is being ridiculous or unfair or being dishonest or something. But you have to be the bigger person and decide what you're going to do, even if they keep doing it, okay? And I want to share one last thing with you. Realize that there are ways that you can set up, what do you call them? Like protections for yourself, so that you make sure that you're the kind of leader who is honest. So I'll give you an example of mine. I want to be an honest spouse. My husband and I love each other dearly, and we want to be together forever. So we don't want anything to happen to that or to jeopardize that. So guess what we've decided? Because I know I have friends who are psychologists. I know that people who travel a lot, and especially those who travel internationally a lot, they end up having affairs. And this is long before doTERRA, when Roger was the one at the office and I was home with the kids. We decided at the beginning of our marriage, the very beginning, that we will never be alone with someone of the opposite sex, ever. That means I don't go in a car with a leader of the opposite sex, someone who's male. I don't go alone with them in a car. I do go in a taxi. I sit in the back seat of a taxi or things like that. But if it's anyone that I'm going to be spending time with or interacting with, we don't go to lunch together alone. There have to be at least 2 people. And my husband does the same thing. And guess what? Do you think I've ever had a problem? No. One time I was traveling internationally, and I had a leader who kept trying to be alone with me, and I would not allow it. So he came to pick me up at the airport, and I found out that my assistant had forgotten, this is actually a previous assistant, had forgotten to tell him that he needed to bring someone to get me or I could take a taxi. So that was, I think that's the only time I can ever remember where I decided, okay, he had come 45 minutes. I thought, okay, I said, I don't ever travel with someone of the opposite sex. I said, I'll sit in the back of the car, and he was driving in the front. And I said, but in the future, this is what we do. And so we did that. And then on the way back to the airport, he tried to take me by himself. And I wouldn't go. I ordered a taxi, and I was very nice about it. But I'm not kidding you. I don't care what I have to do. I will protect my relationship, because I'll tell you what, do you think that if I'm never alone with someone of the opposite sex, that anything will ever possibly happen? No, because I'm not doing anything in front of anyone else, right? So to me, that is so important that I've made these very strict guidelines. And I do those things with my team. So for example, do you think it's a very strict guideline to say, in order to be honest, you can't lie about how you feel? Well, I feel fine. You might think that's an okay lie, but you know what? If you think it's okay to lie about something little, you start thinking it's okay to lie about something big. So you decide where your standard's going to be, and it's okay. If your standard isn't where mine is, decide where your standard needs to be and make it higher than it's been in the past. And then little by little, make your standard higher and higher and higher. Okay? So now we're going to go to a couple of questions and see. Now, I would love to hear issues that you're dealing with, but please don't use any names and don't use information that if any of those team leaders, or if it's about your spouse or whatever, if they are listening, that they would feel hurt by what you're saying. Okay? So, do we have any questions? If any of you are brave enough to ask questions.
Before we unmute everyone, I just want to interject about Teresa. There was one time where I was traveling internationally with her, and there was a team that it was some serious things happened, and some people were left out. And the way that Teresa responded shows the type of person that she is by leaps and bounds. And I was completely impressed because the meeting that we were going to was really important to her, and it was really going to move her forward in her dreams and her goals. But she stood strong to what she believes in, and she decided not to do the meeting at all because people are not allowed to be left out in doTERRA. And in the end of it, it was a very long conversation. She ended up being super forgiving, and she helped them learn how to deal with things and the right way to do things. And she ended up going through with the meeting. But I can tell you every single person on that team learned exactly what Teresa stands for and the way that they need to grow their business under her and make sure everyone's involved. So,
and they ended up including the people and changing how they were going to do it.
Absolutely. So Teresa,
thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Let's unmute everyone though.
Okay. So, is there a concern or question that you have that might help with your team or with whatever you're dealing with? No, they're all unmuted. Okay, apparently you weren't unmuted. Now you are, and there's someone who was trying to talk.
Hi, Teresa. This is Amy Dennis.
Okay, can you talk a little bit closer to the mic or a little bit louder?
Can you hear me okay?
Okay, hi.
So, I spent 5 years in Mary Kay. Can you hear me?
Let's unmute everyone. What we're going to do is we're going to mute everyone, and we're going to allow you to otherwise it's just too loud.
So
okay, so was that Amy? Amy, would you unmute yourself? See if that works. There are so many people on the call, it's hard for me to find Amy.
Teresa?
Oh, there you go. Good.
So, this is Jamie.
Oh, Jamie. Sorry. Okay.
So, I spent 5 years in Mary Kay, which was very interesting, and I learned a lot. One thing I loved about their culture was that really and truly they have like an adoptee program where people that are not, in their quote unquote team can come to any meeting. Is there anything like that in doTERRA? I'm moving in like a year up north, and we live in Texas. And so, I have a big team here, and I would love to be able to just, interject myself somewhere where I can give and we can grow together. And I was wondering if there was something in place like that that doTERRA is doing as an initiative to get us all to work together without there being this weird competitive thing.
Yeah, very good question. And there isn't a set program for that, but that is what we do. So I'm sure you'll come across leaders who don't do that, because realize we're all coming from different walks of life, different companies where some things are acceptable. And in doTERRA, we don't do that. So what happens is, for example, my leaders know, because I have set the standard and this is the way I do things, that I won't come unless everyone is invited. And that includes other teams. Everyone has to be invited or I don't come. And I'll come anywhere and I'll help anyone, but I don't come unless everyone's included. And so I think it's a matter of, the bottom line is you set the standard for the culture. So you go in and treat it like that. And you will find that most leaders are excited to do that if they see that they can trust you. You've got to show them that when you're at a meeting, if someone comes up to you and wants to enroll, they fall in love with you and they want to enroll with you. That you don't do it on purpose so that everyone can hear, but you also don't try to hide it and be secretive. You openly say, oh yeah, let me find out who invited you to the class, and then we'll make sure you get enrolled under them. And they might say, oh, but I want to work with you. Well, you know what? I am very, very careful, because guess what? I can say all the right words. I can say, oh, no, you can't do that. But I can act like I'm really sad that you can't be on my team. Oh, well, we don't do that in doTERRA. And so, we need to make sure that you're under someone else. But then what happens is then they feel like they have the right to fight. Then they're going to try to fight to get what they want. And because guess what? They have their own choice. Could they sit out for 6 months and then move under me? Yes, they could. And I could, by the way that I talk, I could make them have a desire to do that. Or I could say, oh, no, and this is what I do. It's become a standard. Oh, no, we don't do that in doTERRA. You stay where you are, but what happens is we all work together. And so you see how I'm excited? I get excited. I make them excited to be where they are. But we're going to be doing meetings in this area. You come to the meetings, all the trainings, you're welcome to be there. Now, you have to set boundaries. So every person that isn't on my team, I'm not going to offer to mentor them daily, right? I can't do that. But I also don't say, I can't mentor you every day. I'm not going to point out what I won't do, but I'll get them excited about what they can be involved in. And hello, that's a lot. That's a lot. And they get excited. So it's a little bit of a hard answer and a tough answer because the answer is, it's all you, baby. You go in there when you move and you start establishing that that's the way it is. And what you do is if you have to, you fall back on I don't know what rank you are, but if you're a high rank, you can say, oh yes, this is what we do. If you're not there yet, you say, oh yes, I work with the Presidential Diamonds in doTERRA, because you do. Hello, look, we're working together. And this is what we do in doTERRA. And so we need to establish, and you'll get people who say, oh, they don't do that here. Or they don't whatever. Well, don't get into that. Don't be the one who doesn't have integrity and it's talking about people. What you do is you go, oh my goodness, well, you're going to love this because we are going to do it. So let's work together and let's help set that standard here in this new place that you're moving. So, and you'll be surprised. You'll go through some humps that you have to get over, but you'll be surprised at how quickly people fall in love with it. And more people join doTERRA and fall in love with doTERRA in your area because they think, oh my goodness, she signed me up under the person who invited me, even though she doesn't know who it is. I love this company. I want to be part of it. It makes a difference.
That's awesome. Thank you.
So yeah, thank you. Good luck.
Thanks.
So another question, just unmute yourself. I'll take one more if you have one.
Hi, Teresa. This is Deborah from England.
Oh, hi, Deborah. Welcome.
Thank you. I was going to ask you, how do you deal with that when it's on the other foot? So, like, if I take somebody to a class and then they say, oh, I already know somebody else who's in doTERRA, but they've not actually been to a class or they've been sampled, but you've done all the education and the sampling.
Okay, help me understand more. You mean you've brought them to a class, but someone else introduced them? You find out someone else introduced them?
No, they find out after I've taken them to a class and after they've done Aroma Touch training, that then they've got friends in other countries who are in doTERRA. Mm-hmm. And so they want to check around and see who's doing what. Okay, so if this is the rule, and people will tell you different variations of this rule, but I want you to notice that when people tell you variations of this, it is almost always self-serving. It's because they want to be able to have what they want. If you invited them, you're the one who enrolls them. You have enrollership. Okay? Now, it's their choice. So it's harder if it's me and I've invited someone. I'll use me as an example, because if I bring Jennifer to a class and then she finds out that she has other friends in doTERRA and she starts saying, oh, well, I might want to sign up with Gina over here. Or I might want to sign up with someone else. Then it's hard for me because I can't just go in and make her feel pressured. No, you need to sign up under me. That's not what this is about, right? Because what we need to understand is, first of all, if we have an attitude of abundance, then we realize, okay, there are plenty of people out there, but it would be right for her to sign up with me. And so what I would do is I would go to my upline. I would go to my upline and say, well, first we talk about it. And I say, well, in doTERRA, this is how we do it. I say, in doTERRA, we work with everyone. So your friend Gina, your friend whoever. Now, I'm going to do it very carefully, because if I say it too strong-headed, it sounds like I'm trying to force her to be on my team, right? So I want to be careful about that. And I say, I want you to be happy. But in doTERRA, this is what we do. And hopefully her other friends have integrity too. Because if she goes to her other friends, they should be saying, oh, no, you sign up with her, but we totally work together.
And in fact, that's what I would say is I would act like I assume they're going to have integrity. I would say, oh yeah, in doTERRA, we all work together, but whoever invited you, that's who you enroll with. And I'll say, you know what, talk to your friends. They'll tell you that's how it is in doTERRA. Because let me tell you two things that will happen. Number one, you've had faith in them. They have a right for you to assume the best about them when you don't know them, right? So you've assumed the best. The second thing that will happen is if Gina doesn't have integrity and tries to get this person to sign up with her, guess what Jennifer's realizing? She's not dumb. She might go ahead and sign up with Gina or not. We don't know. But she recognizes the difference. And you had integrity, and you showed it. And if Gina acts like, oh no, be on my team, then already Jennifer knows that that's not okay. That wasn't actually appropriate. And do you think she has absolute trust in Gina? No, they've started off on a foot that is not integrity, which is not good. But if they keep, if Jennifer really, really wants that, oh no, I totally want to be with my friend, and I didn't realize she was in doTERRA, and I'm so sorry, this is my decision. Then you don't fight it. That's just the way it is. Say, okay, well, I hope things go well. If you ever need to come to our classes, you be the bigger person. Say, you're totally welcome. You let them. I can promise you, this attitude is why my team is so massive. Because people then end up wanting to be part of what you're doing. I've even had people who that's happened. They go to another team, and then they're not in it for a year or whatever, but when they come back, they want to be with me because they know they can trust me. So that's a big deal. And does that answer your question very well? Oh, the other thing you can do is you can go to the upline. After you've tried everything you can do, go to the upline if it's appropriate. If Jennifer's totally set on one thing, whatever. Don't try to make a big drama about it. But if she's all, well, I don't know what to do, say, well, you know what? Let's get you on a call with some of our upline, and they can talk to you about it. Talk to you about how we do things in doTERRA, how it works, how we work together, how you'll be able to work with your friends even though you may not be on their team or, that kind of thing. And then you get them on the call, because guess what? If you were talking to Jennifer and then you get me on a call, I'm saying, oh yes, this is what we do. It's a lot different when I'm fighting for you than if you're fighting for you, because it can sound self-serving if you're doing it for yourself. If I'm doing it for you, it sounds different. So, okay.
That's great. Thank you so much. That's really
You're
good.
so welcome. Good luck. Good luck.
Thank you.
You guys, I'll just end with this. We are the guardians of the culture. We really are. And if you have been listening to some of this stuff and you know that you have been guilty of doing some of these things that you shouldn't be doing, make a commitment right now to do better. And whatever you're doing with your team, work on those things. I want you to make a list of solutions. We've talked about some things that you can do. I want you to make a list of solutions. And I'll tell you one thing that you can do that will be huge is if you get your leaders together on a call, I don't care how you do it, but get them together and have them come up with a plan with you. Have a call on trust and talk about what you learned and say, what are some things that we're dealing with in our team? And let them know this is safe. This is a safe place, but we're not going to put anyone down, but we're going to talk about this. And you will be surprised at how you have leaders who are upset with you about things that they don't feel like you're doing that you said you would do. You said you're going to call and you didn't call. You said you were going to send something and you didn't send something. Oh my goodness, you guys, I'm the worst at that. I get busy and I forget. Thank heaven I have amazing assistants who now help me do that, because that's something I struggle with. I need this talk today too. And I'll tell you what, I am working on it. I need to be better, and I need to be humble enough to ask my leaders, hey, what are some ways that we can work on trust on our team? And there are things that you'll hear that you might not like, and there are things that you'll hear that are exciting. You guys will come up with awesome solutions together. Because even though it doesn't take integrity to talk to your team, you don't have to ask your team for input in order to have integrity. But I'll tell you what, they will trust you more if you include them. So good luck. My challenge this week is to go to your team and get solutions for some of the issues that you've been dealing with. Okay, so good luck and have a great day, you guys. See you next week.
Thank you, Teresa.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.